So we continue from where we left off with Wednesday discussion, dialogue, dealing with contract law, trusts, etc., and tying that into res judicata and tying that into Article 4, Section 1 of the Constitution. That's the whole space that we're in. And also, Article 1, we found out is called the contract clause or the trust clause, just like Article 6 is called the supremacy clause. So these are not only nicknames for you to remember these things, but you see the dynamic of them. Trust and contract is synonymous. So, and then supremacy clause which designates supreme because it talks about the treaties, how it has more weight than the Constitution. I'm just summarizing, right? In summary. All right, so let's pick it up. Actually, even though we're going to start with declaration of the express trust, I'm going to go up a little prior to that because of some case law that I wanted to read. So in Berry versus McCourt, which was a 1965 case, the court held that the express trust is a contractual relationship based on trust form. That's why I emphasize contract clause, contract law. Trust is nothing but a contract, right? You have case law in the transcripts, and you see what's being said here. It was held that any law or procedure in its operation denying or obstructing contract rights impair the contractual obligation. And the reason they're using that language, obstructing contract, because that's the language in Article 1, Section 8 and 9. There should be no obligations placed on contracts. That's why it's worded like that. It's a violation. And Article Section 10. Ali Khan, happy Holy Day. Right? And as you can see, when I keep reading, thereof, therefore, violated what? Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution. Before I can even get to the sentence, I'm already telling you, right? Article 1. So there you have it, right? In the case law, Berry versus McCourt. Because the express trust is created by the exercise of the natural right to contract. So now we know contracting is a natural right. It's in the bucket of the natural right bucket. Contracting, natural right, right? Which cannot be abridged. The agreement, when executed, becomes protected under federally enforceable right to contract law and not under laws passed by any of the several state legislators. That's Berry versus McCourt, 1965 case. Let's transition to Elliott versus Freeman, United States case, United States Supreme Court case in 1911. The court made it clear that the express trust is not subject to the legislative control. It's not subject to legislative control. And went further to acknowledge that the right-wise stance of the United States Supreme Court that the trust relationship comes under the realm of equity. If you don't know what equity means in law, look it up. It means fairness, right? In the realm of fairness, base it up. And let me just, because most people might have heard of equity in the sense, oh, it's equity in my house because I got the loan for 200,000 and now my property value went up and all the houses around me are a million. So therefore, my equity is about 600, 700,000. No, that's in a pseudo jurisdiction, yes. But equity in law means fairness based upon the common law right to contract and is not subject to legislative restrictions, as are corporations and other organizations created by legislative authority. To clarify the equity and common law distinctions, the basis for express trust under the common law is, in this instance, is not that such organizations are creatures of common law as distinguished from equity, but they are created under the common law of contracts and do not depend on any statute, right? So we create the law, Bayes and Nails, especially if it's a national organization, because when you look up organization or look up government rather, right, it says organization of people. So an organization is a government.
Yeah.
Right. And if the participating parties are the people in that organization or have nationality, that's a national organization or a national government. So if the national organization operates as a trust on paper, which we're reading is just a contract, and just honor that, it's insulated. So our bylaws is the law. No legislation matters. All right. So that means the people just got to be down. Period. Stick to it. Right. Organization brings a whole nother aura, brings a whole nother aura. Organization, consistency, having custom habits and customs, something that y'all do consistently to signify, oh yeah, Khalifa Society does this. Rather it's physically popping up to a Sunday meeting, whatever the case may be, having equinox, summer solstice celebrations. We got to have something that's consistent. Because the facts is, imagine every Sunday the pictures they see, oh man, that group's getting bigger and bigger. That's just attractive just on that alone. Especially you got different shades. And what is this about? They seem to be on the same page. They got these fezzes and turbans. They got holy books. Consistent. Whole nother vibration. All right, continuing. The basis for express trust under the common law in this instance is not that such organizations are creatures of common law, as distinguished from equity, but they are created under the common law contracts and do not depend on any statute. I just wanted to reinforce that. So now let me go back up to the main topic at hand. These were supplemental case laws that were related to the main content. I just felt the need to read that. All right, so declaration of the express trust. The declaration of trust is the trust instrument that constitutes the trust. It has been noted in trust law, contract law. Y'all need to read that, look it up. That no technical expressions are required to create a valid declaration, so long as the words used make clear the settler's intent to create the trust or confer a benefit of some sort that would be best carried out by means of a trust. A trust instrument doesn't necessarily need to be a declaration either, for a trust may be and often is formed out of simple agreement or even a will. But with an express trust, the declaration has been preferred since the beginnings of trust under the common law of England. This is where careful attention to detail is most crucial, because in order to properly construe the intent of the settler, the objects, property, and manner which all is to be carried out, the terms and provisions must be set forth in unambiguous, precise language so as to particularly create the express trust. And where the intent of the settler is unclear under equity, interpretation is required to construe the intent of the parties. And the trust may depend on the degree of ambiguity, be deemed invalid. So if there's too many riddles in there, it's invalid. If it's precise, it's valid. If it's following the laws of contract law, it's valid. And we all should know a couple bullet points of contract law based on the last 3 classes. We can, but if not, of course, take a note that you don't know. And when we get done with this, just ask a question and we can go over it. However, when all is done properly, obviously there can be no lawful impairment of the obligations of contract created thereby. Moreover, the declaration by its terms and provisions serve to establish the entire contractual arrangement, including the identities and positions of the parties, the trust name, jurisdiction, and situs. When you look up situs in law, that just means location of the trust, which is tied to the jurisdiction. and all particulars of administration, all of which the court of equity will fully support by the principle that equity compels performance. Ultimate result is the creation of a bona fide legal entity, right? Because a trust can't speak, trust can't talk, right? It's a creation of the mind of the human, of the Moor. In our case, we're creating an agreement. So basically, Khalifa Society can't talk. It's an organization of human beings. It's an entity. But I like using the word state or jural society or body politic. I like using those terms. Having a separate and distinct judicial personality, standing to sue and be sued, and to function as a natural person, contrasts from artificial person in commerce by and through its trust officers. So when you operate in trust, that's why I said I don't like using a legal entity, because when you see the law, you see a trust, you look at it as still human because you're coming from an organization. If it's trust officers, and that's the lingo in trust law, but of course, in the Moorish world, it's going to be sheiks and assistant sheiks and whatever we designate, you know what I'm saying, whatever that body politic designate for their titles. But at the end of the day, they're trust officers, because all temples are supposed to operate as trusts. So even as a trust officer or a consular officer, you're looked at as human. You're an ambassador for your nation. When you just take all the cute talk away from it, you're an ambassador for your nation, contracted on behalf of your nation. You can look at all these trust words and all that. That's cool too. That's cool just to know that it's connected to Article 1, Section 8, 9, 10, dealing with no obligation to be placed on contracts. You know what I'm saying? But let me continue. The term natural person has been applied to express trust by courts of equity because of its mode of creation and administration. Organization, being by way of the exercise of natural rights and not franchises, i.e. civil rights. So we're not talking civil rights. We know that's for minorities. In this West Conscious Trust Handbook, it's not a Moorish guy. But you see how this Moorish movement is in alignment with law, just in general. You see all this stuff popping out? They say we're not dealing with civil rights. We're talking about we're not in the civil rights realm right now. We're dealing with people that can work together and not get divided on stuff that don't matter. Get emotionally triggered, and now it's an issue. And mind you, these Asian communities, they all got issues. They be beefing and all that just like us, but we'll never hear about it. And they still gonna work together on bare minimum bottom line issues. They still gonna do what they need to do for the upliftment of their people. They might not get all personal, but it's still bottom lines that they're gonna do this to stay solid, because they got pride for their nationality. But it nevertheless possesses inter alia the right of all enjoyment stemming from the contract into which it enters, as well as all the obligations imposed under such contracts. Needless to say, the express trust possesses the ability to own property, engage in business transactions, and to incur liability, including tax liability, depending on the activity, which renders it liable to pay taxes, which I will get into in a later section. Once again, this is not a Moorish guy, so we already know why we're not liable. And if you don't know, ask questions at the end of the piece. Matter of fact, I'm gonna stop right there because we got two more speakers. We'll pick it up, trust corpus on Wednesday. So first I want to open the floor for any questions based on this.
Okay, so I have a question. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so when they say trustees, who are they speaking on? Like, so I can, understand it a little better.
So trustees will be an administrator that was elected by the body members of the trust, elected officials that have a obligation to do X, Y, Z based on whatever their title is for the benefit of the beneficiaries of the trust.
Okay.
Pretty clear. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other question? Just let it fly. You know what I mean?
It was something else that you had spoke on when you were saying like it doesn't concern like pretty much you were saying like it doesn't like apply to us, and then you were saying like if you don't know why, then you could ask after. That's what I wanted to know. Like, why doesn't it not apply to the Moorish?
Oh, the section where it says in tax liabilities and things like that.
Yes.
So when you start looking at you know what, I approach it like this. I'm gonna show you something visually. Can you does it still say the trust screen or does it show a search engine right now?
It shows you typing and all that stuff,
Okay, cool.
looking up stuff.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring up Article 1.
I'm gonna write that down.
I'm gonna go about answering your question like this. Okay, so Article 1, Section 10 states only Congress may collect taxes. Okay.
Hmm.
Who would be asking you to pay taxes? Is it Congress or the IRS?
The IRS.
It's not Congress, right?
Not that I know of. It should. Yeah, it's always IRS.
And when you look at the IRS, they are in what? What department? The Treasury Department, right?
Hmm.
So what branch of government is Congress?
That again?
What branch of government is Congress?
That I have no idea.
I'm gonna look it up for you right now so you can see it. I said, what branch of government? Branch of government. Okay, so it says Congress is part of the legislative branch. All right.
Mm. Can you keep that up there? I just wanna go back and start looking up this type of stuff. Let me see.
So I'm slow walking you for a reason, so it can stick.
Okay.
So the reason why I'm saying that is the IRS is in the Treasury Department. All right.
Okay.
The Treasury Department is in the executive branch. All right. Let
Hmm.
me let me just show you. So, what branch of government is the Treasury Department? All right, the legislative branch, right?
Hmm.
So what branch is Congress in?
The Congress is in cause I was writing this, I was trying to write it down at the same time while you was talking. You said the Congress is in the legislative I don't even know how to pronounce it. The legislative branch, the legislation. What is it called? Legis.
Legislative.
Yeah, legislative. Yeah, legislative branch.
Okay,
And then you said one of them was in the Treasury. Am I correct?
right. So the Treasury is in the executive branch. So
So
if
that's two.
Con
My bad. Is it so that's so okay? So is that like I'm trying to get a clear understanding. So you pretty much saying like they're in two different branches or they're in the same branch?
they're in two different branches. So if Congress can only levy taxes, that means only the executive branch can levy taxes, right?
Okay.
So if the IRS is in the legislative branch, because it's in the Treasury, then that means they don't have jurisdiction to ask for taxes, to ask for you for taxes. Only Congress or the executive branch can do that.
Okay, I get it now.
Okay, so that's locked in, right? So that's Article 1, Section. Well, I'll look up Section 8, 9, and 10. All right, and it talks about not even that. It talks about what lawful money is as far as gold and silver coin. It talks about the right to contract, which no obligation shall be placed on contracts. That's why we're going over trust law because trust is a contract, right? So we're conducting and making law. We're making law, right? So another aspect of your question would be, why doesn't this apply to Moors as far as the tax liabilities? Um, when you look at the rights of indigenous people, the Inter-American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, it talks about organizations created by indigenous people are not subject to foreigners' policies. That's another angle on the tax issue. Um, the treaties itself, it's nowhere in there because that's why I brought up the supremacy clause because Article 6 is going to take you to the treaties being the supreme law of the land. And then in the treaties, nothing talks about IRS, Congress, none of that stuff even matter. Um, you know, got nothing to do with us. There's no lingo of us paying them taxes or we to the IRS, Congress, none of that. So that's another angle. So you can look at it from all those angles and approach it like that. So
Okay.
that's how I chose to answer your question in that long about way because I figured it'll stick better. You know what I'm
Yeah, I definitely got a better view on it, so I appreciate it.
saying? Hey, that's fine. Fine. Anybody else had anything? Questions, statements?
What is situs law?
Situs?
Yes.
Situs will be the location
Oh, okay.
that the trust is in. But you can also just look up Situs Trust and just dive into it so you can get a better Better
Mhm.
comprehension. Islam and Nuna, happy healthy day.
Islam Nobles, happy Noble Day. I mean, happy.
you got dyslexia like me.
I'm sorry. I say happy Nobles Day.
Same thing, right?
I'm tired. I'm tired, Nobles. Forgive me. I'm just tired. I'm tired. Happy Holy Day, everybody.
Happy Holy Day.
Islam, happy Holy Day.
Happy holiday.
Did anybody have any thoughts, questions, statements before we transition to I believe Brother Terry Bay gonna give a piece for Morris Tactical.
Okay. You want me to go ahead and start now?
I'm gonna get like anybody had anything else they would like to say? If not, then we'll give it a couple seconds. All right, you got the floor, man.
Okay, so pretty much what I've learned in the more technical book, that the Europeans were held captive and resumed by Moors. Even in the story of the white slavery and Mediterranean, I can't pronounce the word, but the Mediterranean, the barbarian coast. Say it again.
Mediterranean?
Yeah, the Mediterranean, my bad. The Mediterranean, yes. The Mediterranean, the barbarian coast. Many of the countries that were victims of slavery, such as French, Spain, will later colonize the areas of North Africa, where the citizens were once held as slaves. Also in the book, The White Cargo, it states that they came as slaves, vast human cargo, transported on tall British ships and bound for the Americans. And also, before there was the United States of America, before it was the United States of America, there were 3 European colonies, French, Dutch, and English, and British. The European colonies were established based on relations with the Sultan of Morocco and the crowns at the time. Trying to stay on point. Also, I learned too that the colonies at the time contained slaves who were considered like scum thieves and stuff like that. Also, what I read also too was they painted their faces dark and put feathers in their hair to pretty much portray like they were like Moors, to blame the original people on the land, which didn't work at all. And it led to intolerable act of 1774, which were laws to punish the European subjects for the actions for throwing the tea, which was the Boston Harbor, if I'm not mistaken. And I can keep going for hoping I'm not messing up. And also the Moroccans, I think it's called LLI. I don't really know how to I don't know how to really pronounce it, but it's like I think it's an AI, Moroccans and Moors Americans who has been misclassified in the United States. From They've been misclassified in the United States. These are, the Bureau, the Census, I think it's called Census, SENSUS.
Census. So real quick, this AL is a prefix, which designates from. So you're saying Al Moroccan. Al
Moroccan. Okay. My apologies.
And then that's the United States Census Bureau.
Yes, United States Census Bureau. Appreciate it. And so pretty much they were saying like, you know, they classify us as like black, Negroes, color, Hispanics, Latinos, Indians, and etc. But George Washington, he pretty much stated that indeed that the hairs of the North, Central, and South America, including the islands, that's what he was talking about when it came to about who was the indigenous people that he was talking about. Also too, I learned what Slavic language is. The word Slav, slave, short for Slavic, is a European nationality. But STA, I went a little deeper because I just wanted to know like what it was, and I really didn't understand or understand it. So when I dug into it or whatever, yellow.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I was digging into it, and it was saying that STA, which is like sta, is a Pronto Indo-European root meaning to stand, set down, make up, or be firm. So that I didn't know. And then also went deeper than that, which was like I went and dug into some more stuff for the meaning of more. Because I know like when they like applications and all that good stuff, they always say like, oh yeah, put black, Hispanic, those type of things up there. So I personally went up there to look up more, and it became a noun. And the meaning is the meaning that I found personally was meaning like dark people. And that's what made me feel a little better just to know the meaning of that. It's more to it, but that's pretty much what I learned. I can go in more depth. But that's pretty much what I what I've got. So yeah.
No, it's line. That was good, man. You digested a good amount. I would say just stay on it, get the repetition, so you can have a more assuredness about how you're talking about it. But yeah, that's a good start, man. Excellent work, man. That's line.
Appreciate it.
Brother Richard, is that the more up north and Sacramento, something like that? Is that Rich Flow on Instagram? If he's having technical difficulties, but yeah. Anybody have any thoughts on that piece or anything that anybody would like to say? Go ahead. If not, Brother Josh, if you wanted to share your insight.
Absolutely. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
Is it clear? Is it clear, or is it muffled, the sound?
That's pretty clear.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. What's up, everybody? Man, holy day. I grew up in a different background, and it was cool reading Mafiel's book because he speaks about how, right, each of your parents had a different background as far as like spiritual walk, right? In my walk, man, it was just that I grew up a certain way, 7-day Adventist Christian. So we do this Friday night, sunset to sunset, very similar to Judaism, right? We have the holy days from Friday evening sunset to Saturday night sundown. So it's cool that y'all say holy day on Friday. That everything is full circle, man. The more you know, it's like the less you know, and it's humbling. And yeah, very good to be here with you guys and fellowship, man. But anyway, I'm not gonna hold y'all long. I also read the book, read it several times, and I love that it's called a flowchart because that's exactly what it is, man. And in martial arts and in our world, we use the word flow. You should always be flow based. When situations come, you have to be ready to act, and that's why we're here right now. This is like our training, man. And this is the time where we are thinking, we're analyzing, we're using that part of our mind. But when we get out in the street, guys, when we leave our homes, maybe not even leaving our homes, you know, they come in our houses acting crazy these days, but that's a whole nother story. I had the opportunity anyway, last week to use what I learned in the book. And mind you, I had the book. The great thing about these tests are you don't have to, it's good to have this on your heart, but if you do have your documentation, if you do have the book around that flowchart, it is a living document. The way this brother wrote that, it allows you to use that thing as the powerful weapon it is. Like they say, the Bible's a sword. Mafiel's Moorish flowchart, you know, the Moorish tactical guide, that is also a sword, man. So one of my I do Turo business on the side. It's one of my hustles, and I get a phone call, and they're like, "Hey, you know, they took the car to the station, and I think they're processing it for tow." I had no time to, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't on the scene. It was different. You could drop the Moorish flag out the window. You know what I'm saying? It's a different conversation, but I didn't have time to do that. And the guest that had the car, they arrested him because his license was expired. He didn't really have the knowledge that we're getting here today. You know what I'm saying? He's still on a different plane in the matrix. So, you know, he wasn't able to state his rights. He wasn't able to say, you know, I'm a foreign national, I'm a Moor, and there's certain guidelines and processes that you guys have to go through, you know, before you can just process a human being like this, like the way they do us. You know, it's fear, it's intimidation. But once the deputy got on the phone with me and he was explaining what happened, you know, because I was saying, hey, this is not my experience with LAPD. There are certain times where, you know, my car was stolen and, you know, they at least gave me a courtesy call and I can tell them what's going on. I can get my car before it got towed. This time they already done processed it. They took this guy. And so, you know, I didn't really have time to, it was kind of too late, right? Like they made me pay for the tow essentially, but I had the opportunity to go to the station to talk to the guy, the deputy, get my car released. And I said, hey, look at this flowchart I have. Now, the document is a United States document and it states, hold on one second. It states that there's a certain process you have to go through, which is notifying the embassy of which this person belongs to, or a consular, which would be in place to help us in the expression of our rights and moving freely with our rights. One thing you guys should know is in the event that you needed to get someone from the embassy on the phone, they are closed on the weekends. I figured that out. At least the one that I looked up. I was actually Googling. I was like, man, let me see if I can get the Moroccan embassy on the phone. These are small things that I felt like, you know, I'm learning this stuff. I'm not an expert. I'm not on the level of Mafiel, right? He's been doing this for years, but I was able to use a piece of it, which was when I got to the station. I'm going through the documentation with the deputy. Of course, there's pushback because in their mind, you're in violation of something, right? And that's how we live the first part of our lives, right? Before this knowledge, we're always in violation of something. You're existing, you're in violation until you come into this knowledge and you understand, no, I'm not in violation. I'm on my soil. You know, like we talked about earlier, the trust, the contract. I have God-given rights. I have things that no other man can take away. And we have to know what those things are and be able to establish them. So, you know, he was trying to say, hey, you're being preachy with this Moorish stuff. The deputy, you know, he listened to me, but he was like, no, I feel like you're preaching to me. And I'm like, hey, look, I'm not raising my voice at you. You know, I'm not cussing you out. I'm like, I'm sharing my rights. But we have to understand that in sharing our rights, some people are always going to take that as they're going to take it as an insult, right? Because you're just standing up for self. You're showing up for self. You're showing up for your community. You're showing up for your nation. And so I said, hey, look, I'm not preaching at you. That's not the goal. I'm not talking down to you. I said, we're going through this documentation together, right? We can both, you know, see the law here in plain sight. But in that moment, I felt that I had to stand. I didn't feel alone, right? I had something that Mafiel had put together, right? And that was working in my favor, right? There were things that were working in my favor. I wasn't alone in that moment, truly, because I had the works, you know what I'm saying, of Brother Mafiel. So I just want that to stay with you. Oh, they didn't charge me for the release, by the way, from the station. I didn't want to say that. So even though, you know what I'm saying, because of all the other circumstances, I did end up paying something for the tow to be 100%. But to actually get the documentation to release the vehicle from the deputy, they did not charge me. And he did apologize because he said, hey, you know, things might have been different if you were on the scene to declare nationality, to go through that process, to, you know, be able to state your rights, but you weren't on the scene. So that was kind of a technicality. I didn't know really the way around that, but this comes with practice. This comes with practice and showing up, man. I haven't been here for a while, man. I haven't been to this meet for a while. But I'd been studying, and you know, life just took me in different directions. But I was keeping this stuff on my heart, and so I'm glad I even had the courage, man, to go through with that. And I'm gonna say this in closing. I want you guys to have the courage to speak that way. You know, we see these images all the time on social media, man, of, you know, stuff happening to folks that look like us simply because they look like us. They don't know their rights, and there's all sorts of gangs and other stuff in the police. And that's a whole other story. But we need to be able to walk in confidence, man. When we wake up, when we go out into the world, like, know thyself, and you will know the universe and God. Know thyself, man. And this is why I'm back here, because I wanted to share this with you guys and let you know I'm not forsaken community. Like, y'all are my folks. I love you guys, each and every one of you. I don't know all of you yet, but I love you. And I'm glad that we have this community to
Man,
come
this is my
together.
first time on here, so it's nice meeting you.
Nice, man. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. But that's my piece, y'all. Just walk in confidence, man, and understand that we have a real community here that has real impact in our lives. So thank you for giving me the floor, Mafia. I'm done, man.
Wow, I appreciate you. I want to just say, Brother Richard, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Nice to meet y'all. Happy Holy Day, y'all. It's Friday. Yeah. My name is Richard, by the way, and hence the logo, Rich Flow. I'm just trying to be a rapper / martial artist. Just trying to teach my kids how to do curricular activities other than just being on the Xbox and PlayStation. Just doing other things, you know, doing more positive things. I feel trying to instill principles, like you know, instill like real parenting values. Not only that, but to instill them with stuff that, for me growing up, my parents weren't able to instill like the best for us, because I didn't come from like a rich family or whatever. But I feel like they gave me enough for me to, you know, establish that with my kids now. So now I'm just trying to do something better for myself, because growing up in the ghetto community, and gangs and a lot of stuff was there to kind of like distract me. So I feel like I got distracted at one point and had to spiral out of control. And in doing so, I feel like I ended up tapping into something much more positive from doing so much bad. And now I'm just trying to refrain from doing bad and trying to flip the script and do more positive things so it could affect my family in a much more positive way, I feel. But nice meeting you guys. I will be tuning in to more of these for sure. I'm actually looking forward to it as well.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I just wanted to add, Brother Josh, you know, the importance of that data of, you know, actually have the heart and the will to even say what you said and articulate it in an intelligent tone, right? You know, for them to even be receptive and to even tell you, if you had been on the scene saying what you're telling me now, it would even went even more favorable, right? You know, and he didn't even have it down good, because I heard you say you looking for the Moroccan embassy. We don't. It's no embassy. It's like you're part of a temple. You part of that would be your.
I should have called you.
Right. But no, it's all good. No,
see.
Hey, but I mess with that because you took initiative though, in an intelligent tone. You felt you got enough information that made sense and it was logical, and you didn't wait for nobody. You know what I'm saying? But you know, it is what it is. A lot of people didn't even did that.
We had a point earlier, Mafiel, that I want to bring home. So that's a nugget that I got from this. And also, guys, let's say you're a business owner too. I don't know if anybody else here does tour or anything like that, and it's your property, right? You're not on the scene. We gotta see Mafia L has the flag in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, if I would have just had even a bumper sticker in my car or some documentation that was like maybe instructions for if anybody gets pulled over or anything, hey, just show them this documentation, it would have been a different story. Even though I'm not there, my car can have like a little office. That's what the dash is for. You know, and I got a spiritual download the other day, which was I don't think that they always pull guns on us because they're afraid that we're gonna pull a gun. I think they're afraid that we're gonna pull knowledge, and they know that they can't do anything after that. They know they can't do anything after that point. What if I was reaching for documentation? So you got to have, you know what I'm saying? I already have my ID. Excuse me. I already have my ID and everything on the steering wheel if I get pulled over, right? Because I don't, just from a martial arts background, I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. If they can't see my hands, they're going to assume something, right? But with the ID, right, with the wallet, all those goods, you got to have the flow chart or something there as well. And even if you're not on the scene, just have that visible. Like have visible. These symbols are powerful, man. Like the symbols
What is this
that we
flow
have.
chart that you speak of, if you don't mind me asking?
The what, sir?
What is this flow chart that you speak of?
Oh, Mafia L's book. Mafia L, you want to speak on that?
Yeah, it's a book that I wrote called Moorish Tactical, and it's in the flowchart style. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get your hands on that, brother.
Yeah, this is a good book, man. Really,
I've been talking to Mafia about it. More than likely, I'm gonna be tuning into that for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's for this generation, man, because it's not long and drawn out, but everything in there is meat and potatoes. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have a meal. It's all good calories. Ain't no empty calories in that book. So it's for our generation. It's tactical. You can really use it in a moment. You're not gonna have to go through a million pages to find what you need.
Right. No doubt. I'm actually excited, man. Like listening to Mafia, like he made an album like as a Moorish Connection, Khalifa Society. Just the fact that you made that album kind of it gives me more push to like make music or just write music in general, or to just push what it is that we're trying to do, or just in general raise awareness, because there's times where I'm Mexican, so I walk into sometimes supermarkets or stores wearing a fez. Sometimes that may catch people off guard, or some people may be uncomfortable. I don't know what it could be, but for some people, like I've seen older OGs, like I've seen a war veteran, or I don't know if he was like a war veteran. He actually like acknowledged me in a way that I've never really like looked at it. Like what he kind of just saw me, and I was just like, "Hello," he's like, "How you doing, sir?" Like, but he looked at me in a way like he knew something that I didn't know, and
respect.
it kind of like it shifted the way that I looked at myself, if that made any sense. Because before I would probably have looked at that gentleman like as like, oh, who the fuck is this old man or something. But I actually acknowledged him back and actually respected him in the same way that he respected. It was weird. But it actually gave me a sense of purpose, and it also just made me feel a lot better about myself in general, if that made sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And since I've been doing it, some people have just like, some people are like acknowledge it, some people some people have conversations with me about it, or they take me seriously. But then then there's people who may not know what it is I'm talking about, and it's okay, not everybody knows. But that's not that's not why I do it. I do it to just influence and raise awareness to people. And I don't know, to me it's just cool. I feel like I'm backed up by books now, whereas to me just talking out of my out of my ass and not knowing stuff, now I feel like I'm backed up by knowledge and factual things that I'm reading, or just in general being put on by other people. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, man. You're coming into the light and it's feeling good.
It's awesome, bro. And then I've been tapping in with you, bro, and honestly just to be able to have conversations with other people about these type of things, It makes me more intrigued and more willing to want to learn more.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. But we need to expand for economical reasons, political reasons, for people to take us serious reasons. You know what I mean? Like we need to expand. You know,
No doubt.
and we can do so much great things. You know, eyes and ears in different territories. Like we don't got to be conventional. Anybody on this planet, if they got Zoom and they willing to be on one body, one accord, that's a body
Right.
politic. That's a body
Right.
politic. They part of the situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, just get it tight, get competent, and so you can eloquently tell somebody else about what we're doing, and they gonna have hands down. It's making sense. It's just about the ambassadors in the organization. Is they competent enough to spread this sound eloquently where it's making sense? You know who you're dealing with. Talk to them in a way that they can vibrate with that. The
Yeah.
only way you can do that is if you're competent yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's so true though.
Yeah.
Hey,
man.
I want.
That's fine. Go ahead, brother Terry.
Oh no, I let the queen go ahead and speak. She was going, and I'll just say something after she finished.
Oh, that's an emperor. Okay, Emperor Shuja, you got something?
Yeah. I have a question. I would like to know, when is it a good time to wear your fez?
Every day.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Monday through Sunday.
And what about the turban with the because I noticed some of the ladies that have a pin in the middle.
You could do that too, or you could do both, or you could just do the fez. It's all on you, how you know. But all that's your national attire, you know. Back to the habits and customs. For one, it's a Moroccan headdress, which signifies the nationality of people, so that's why we wear it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you might gravitate towards the turban and the fez, or just the fez, or just the turban, right? But you want to have something when you out and about to distinguish you.
What is that pin? What is the pin? What is that?
You can. I have a pin that's a pyramid, but it's not the eye is not separated. It's connected. Doesn't showing that I know what's going on. I'm not disconnected.
Right.
I like that. That's nice.
You got. I like calling them diadems, but I guess I guess they're pins. But they got one that just has a moon and a star, and it says MA, which stands for Moorish American. The moon dealing with mother, star, dealing with son. So you expressing that. You can just have a jewel. It could just be a jewel. There's no set pin that you have to be in a box wearing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's turban and fez.
But I said, excuse me for interrupting. I had a question on. I have two questions actually. One for Josh and the other one for you. So the pins that you're talking about, that's for male, female, or it really doesn't matter? Like,
Doesn't matter.
Okay. And the other thing I want to say to Josh that when he was put in that predicament or whatever, like were they like, I was just wondering because I've dealt with a situation containing to a certain matter before I got the knowledge that I was before I got the knowledge that I know now. And I just wanted to know, like, were they very aggressive, or like how did it make them feel, like when it was a quick, like, when it was straight up action? Like I know he explained, like, as not he explained as much as he could, due to the time frame. But I just wanted to know, like, far as like when he first did it, like, did he pick up the book first, or like how did it happen? Like, was it like a heart pounding? Like, how was it, like, you know what I mean? Because I know dealing with them, they like to like yell, holler, like tell you, like, all this crazy stuff, and then they shine that light all in your face and etc. So it's like it'd be pressure. It'd definitely be some pressure, and like then like they know, like you are like you're not trying to do any harm whatsoever, but to them, like he said, um, it's not that, you know, they think you're gonna do something to them. I think it's really just what you're gonna say to them to make them be quiet, you know. And I think some of them don't like authority. So I was just curious on his behalf, like how did it, you know, how did it feel? How did it go? Like, you know, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Man, that is a great question. Um, firstly, the first lesson I ever got in dealing with law enforcement is from my pops. You know, he's a Southern dude, man. Grew up in the South for most of his life. So, you know, I recall a story where he was driving with my mom, long story short, in Mississippi, got pulled over and they were roughing him up. And he kept his calm. And that's the only reason he made it out alive, because they had the dogs and they already pulled the guns on and all that crazy stuff. And I remember to this day, that's one of the things that my mother respects about him. So I always carry that spirit with me, just as a preliminary statement. So what I and my dad's an attorney, by the way. So I know that when you're armed with knowledge, like you don't have to, like I didn't have to overcompensate. I was speaking with bass in my voice, don't get me wrong, but I didn't have to overcompensate with yelling and cussing. You know what I'm saying? The
Mm-hmm.
knowledge was sufficient enough. So I kept that in my mind. I said, okay, the knowledge is sufficient enough. The knowledge, that's the only thing I could think of. The knowledge is sufficient enough. And what does that mean? It means that I don't have to overcompensate with cussing and yelling and coming out of character. That's what they want. That's exactly what they want, bro. As we know, you can be calm. I've been in situations where I've been calm and they try to twist my words or
Mm-hmm.
you know escalate it. All they want to do is escalate. You know what I'm saying? But while they try to escalate the animalistic tendencies, we just escalate the level of thinking, right? And the
Mhm.
level of being. So when they escalate their temper, we just escalate our level of being. That is so crucial, man, because if the conversation got disrespectful, guess what? Immediately he's not hearing anything I had to say. I had to be
Mhm.
clear-minded enough to say, even though this brother is being difficult with me, and by the way, it was a brother, you know what I'm saying, who I'm dealing with, and he gave me a hard time, but he actually listened. And had I not been clear-minded, I wouldn't be able to appreciate that. He actually listened, because a lot of them are not going to listen. But he's the
Mm-hmm.
deputy, so he has some sort of authority. So I said, look, this is an opportunity. And I told him, I said, look, man, this wasn't a perfect interaction as far as you know your service to the people, and I reminded him of his servant duty respectfully. I said, you are of service to the people, right? I said, I've paid my dues, I've paid my taxes, and you know have done what I need to do to build the community around me. But I said, like, you're telling me I'm in violation, but I said I'm also violated. It's bilateral. And I said, speaking of bilateral, this documentation is a bilateral agreement between
Mm-hmm.
the bodies that govern what you're doing, the business you're doing, and the bodies that govern what I'm doing. And I said, in order for us to work together, we have to be able to have this conversation. So I said, you know again, I'm not preaching to you. He felt like he was being preached to, because he's not used to having people what know their rights and
Mm-hmm.
speak on their rights, unless it's some Karen or something. But that's not even the game we have to play. Even Karens lack knowledge of self. They have enough of it to, you know what I'm saying,
Like
do
me.
that, but they be getting out of character because of their lack of knowledge of self. What we have here is a community, and we are gaining knowledge of self. So again, brother, the thing I'm going to tell you is, yes, my heart was beating, but it wasn't beating for fear when I let, you know what I'm saying, when I let the law, when I let the law, the real law speak for me.
Mhm.
Um, Even though my heart was beating, the fear turned into fire. I'm gonna leave you with this, man. Cus D'Amato, Mike Tyson's trainer, rest in power. He said fire can either burn you or you can learn to use it, and that'll be your fuel to
Mm.
push you forward. Period. And that's what we're here. That's what we're here to do, man. All gas, all the knowledge, all gas, man. Just let that propel you. And no matter what, you may feel some fear, but fear is not bad. We just have to make it work for us.
Mm.
So yeah, that's what I'll say, man.
Appreciate it.
Wow. Appreciate that. Any other thoughts? Questions? All right. That's good stuff, man. Appreciate you. And Empress Shuja, just dive into the book, same way like these other brothers did, and just be prepared to do a piece, do a presentation, as if we don't know anything, as if you're teaching us. Get
Yes.
your thoughts together, and so you can eloquently deliver what you digested. There's no rush, but
No problem.
yeah. So yeah, Brother Rich, we just stay linked up, Brother Richard, and
Yeah. I definitely got to link up to get a hold of that book for sure. And I still have the information on my DM, so I will be reaching out for sure pretty soon, man.
It's a lot. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and close out. Nobody has any other thoughts. This was a beautiful holy day, and I'll see some of you Sunday.
Peace.
I'll see the rest of y'all Wednesday. And Islam, peace and love. You got something, Josh?
There is so I and my family have a long history of Blackfoot, and they call us Cherokee, but really it's Tsalagi or Kitua, which means people of a different speech, also Moors, right? There's a powwow in Long Beach this weekend. It's tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday. And man, I think the Moors being involved in the powwow and spreading that knowledge, bruh, a lot of those people have never heard this before.
Man,
heard
I
this
feel
message.
like in Los Angeles, you guys be doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
LA, yeah, man.
Oh yeah, because Richard, he up north. You up north, right?
Yeah, I'm over here in the Bay Area. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, the powwows, man. Yeah.
How often do they do that?
But I will definitely more than likely maybe one day pop by and check it out, because you guys make these things sound so interesting, man. I'm interested in finding out more.
Yeah, man. All throughout the year they have powwows. If you look up powwow calendar on Google, they have them all throughout the year, man. The last one I went to was at the Pachanga. They do them at the casinos.
Okay.
And then this one's actually going to be at Cal State Long Beach.
Gotcha.
And it's the 50th anniversary, so it's going to be huge.
I am gonna look that up, huh? For sure. That's literally because of my sisters, all of this stuff. So I'm grateful, man. So this is dope.
That's the next level too. Once everybody get competent, we gonna start dealing with people that think they Indian and Hebrew Israelite, or whatever the case may be, and talk to them in a way, intelligent tone, right? Just like how it's same.
Yeah.
Thing. We don't want to offend nobody. We just want to make it make sense. Like, we're gonna give you the truth. This is how it'll be better if we connect.
Right.
Get your nationality, link up with us. You know what I mean? Now it's about 400 of us. Now it's about 500 of us.
Yeah.
Right.
We all centralized.
Yeah.
Oh, it's over. You know what I'm saying? This is the genius citizen. When you look at the divine warning, read the divine warning from the prophet, genius citizens. We always thinking about how we gonna make this thing pop off, expand. That's our priority. You know what I'm saying? Not getting lost on Instagram. Only reason I'm using Instagram is to push our political agenda and to link up with people. Like, you see the brother Josh, I talked to him. I'm seeing the people who wanted to join the organization. I'm trying to expand. I'm not just getting caught up in like I'm starstruck. That's not what Instagram about. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. We all ambassadors. If we taking this serious, we're not in cruise control. We actively trying to expand this thing. Right?
Respect.
You know what I'm saying?
Right on.
But
Yes, sir.
But nobody else had any other thoughts. I'm gonna go ahead and close out, and hopefully everybody have a beautiful night. This beautiful Venus.
Likewise.
You know what I mean? And Islam, peace and love.
Peace and
Peace and
love.
love, y'all.
Peace and love, man.
Happy Holy Day.
Likewise.
Holy day. Happy holy day.
Happy Holy Day.
Happy Holy Day. Peace and love.
Peace and love, man.